Hi, this is Greg West from 12stringguitars.com. I've got the camera zoomed in on my right hand, my picking hand, so you can see some of the techniques I use for right hand picking, and to talk about hand position primarily. When you pick a 12-string guitar with finger style, you run into some issues that you don't run into, and you also have some opportunities that you don't have available to you when you play a 6-string guitar. First thing I want to talk about is just the hand position itself. The thumb, P, and most of your fingerstyle music is indicated as P. In the notation for the first 3 fingers, I, M, A. I don't use the pinky. Some people may be able to, but I just don't find it a useful technique. But with P, I, M, and A, the finger position is a somewhat modified position that you'd have from classical guitar. Classical guitar, plant your thumb and the 3 fingers on the bottom 3 strings here, and then arch your wrist real high. And that's what your position would look like. Kind of angle around here a little bit. That's what your position looks like for classical guitar. And now that works well on a 6-string guitar. The height gives you power. It keeps your hand relaxed. But the problem is that you tend to run into the additional octave strings on the 12-string. So I found over the years, and kind of watching Leo Kottke's technique in particular, he tends to flatten out his wrist rather than keep it real high arched. He flattens his wrist out and moves his thumb forward. This allows you to do 2 things. The heel of your hand right here can mute on the bass strings. So if you want to get that Kottke-esque kind of you can mute with the heel of your hand. And by raising and lowering your wrist a little bit, you can either open the string up or you can mute it down. The other thing is that with the thumb extended forward and using the edge of the thumb, you don't need to have a real long nail. Now most of the time you've seen on my videos I use a thumb pick. I like that just because of the crispness of the sound it gives. But I've taken off the thumb pick just so you can model just the standard technique first, and if you want to add a thumb pick to that later on, you're certainly welcome to do so. By moving the thumb forward, what I'm doing, I'm not actually plucking the string out like a lot of people try to do. What I'm doing is I'm pushing through the string to the string below it. This allows me to use the edge of my thumb for muting of strings, so if I want to do something that's like, I can create some real cool rhythmic effects that way. So you can get all kinds of different tone colors using the muting. The other thing is by flattening out the hand just slightly, it allows your fingers to come up underneath, and it makes kind of a strange little X shape. I don't know if you can see that from this particular angle, but looking from the top of your hand down, the thumb extends forward, your index finger moves back, and it makes, from looking from the top, it looks kind of like an X. That way the fingers don't run into each other when you're picking really fast. A lot of novices, a lot of beginners, when they're first learning to finger pick, they kind of keep their hand in this position like here, and when they pick with the thumb goes behind the fingers, and then they try to pull up. Let's see if I'll try and do a little pattern. I find it really difficult to do this now. See how the thumb goes behind the other fingers, and then it has to wait for the other fingers to move out of the way before it can recover and come back in. No way you can do any fast cross-picking from this position. So by rotating everything forward, moving the thumb forward and the fingers to the rear, so that's a really good hand position to try to work from for the 12-string. It allows you to do the muting, and it allows you to be able to play, and you don't have to have really long fingernails to be able to get good sound out of a 12-string. The other thing now, when you're doing picking, you've got 12 strings to pick from now. So you have tons of different tone colors depending on whether you pick from the top of the string down or from the bottom of the string up. Let me explain what I mean. I'm going to go to the low E in this case because of the tuning of my guitar. This is a low C sharp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the top 2 strings, both octaves together. Okay, now what you're hearing there, the dominant note in that, because I hit it first, is the top octave. If I pick, say with my finger, come up from the bottom, the low string, the lower octave is slightly louder, just very modestly. if I come down to these other strings here, if I pick the G from here, it's possible to pick just the G and not the top octave. But if I pick down with my thumb, I can hit only the top octave. So when you're doing a finger picking pattern, depending on where you are on the guitar, you can hit individual octaves. I'm doing a pattern here on the top 3 strings, and I'm going to hit the E here, and then the low E here, coming up from the bottom, and they're the same pitch. And then I'm going to hit the 5th string coming up from the bottom with my index finger. So that's going to give me basically 3 notes in sequence. And depending on my technique, I'll hit additional octaves in there, and it creates different harmonics. If I pick down with my thumb, I hit the top octaves. If I come up with the other fingers, I hit the bottom octaves. And I'm just doing that with the top 6 strings of the 12. I still got all these others down here I can use for other things. If I want to go so I can do all kinds of cool things with that. Now, I can take that technique and then broaden it all the way across the guitar. I'm playing an E minor chord, by the way, in case you want to try this and get the same sound. I'm going all the way across. And depending on which strings I hit, I'm hitting upper octaves with my thumb and lower octaves with my I and M fingers. So depending on whether you pick down from the top or up, you can hit just individual strings of the 12 instead of just hitting pairs. If you hit pairs, you get that richness. But by going to individual strings and then varying it up, you create this whole tapestry of sound that can be as thin as you want or as thick as you want. And you can do amazing rhythmic things. You can do things with strings that are unison, but you're playing them with fingers that are different on different strings. There's a whole world of possibilities out there that you can do. With muting, also by staying in this position, it's easy to hit a chord and mute it just afterwards. Your hand just kind of bobs up and down as you mute with the fingers, and you can mute with the heel of the thumb as well. So there's a lot of different options there. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and play 12-string guitar a little bit longer here, and I'm going to just go ahead and turn off the camera. If you have any questions or comments, they're always welcome. That's 12stringguitarist.com, and this is Greg West. Thanks for listening.